I remember quite vividly the day that I announced to my parents I wanted to be a professional musician. I was 11 years old and I had been playing guitar already for about 4 years or so. At the time, Chet Atkins was a big inspiration. My first guitar hero, I guess you could say. Before I knew it, at 12, I was in the Musicians Union and playing gigs. It seems crazy to me now, right? I was making money and I was getting feedback from critics in the audience. Most of my gigs was playing country in retirement homes. Now, you probably know that old folks are the best critics. They're honest, they're straightforward, they're not afraid to tell you exactly what they think. And that was great training ground for me at that time. Admittedly, I was living in a bit of a bubble, really. I played in a country band. Nearly all I heard was country. Country was on the radio all over the place. It was at home. Country and bluegrass, mixed in with some Elvis and maybe the Ventures, other things. I mean, I was kind of listening to ZZ Top a little bit, but, fast forward several years, I heard this guitar player in my high school, same age as me. He was playing guitar in a new and completely different way. It had me, super intrigued. He was tapping on the guitar with both hands. Now, give me a break. It's been 32 years since I've done that. He was playing guitar with this attitude that I never really witnessed before. It was rock. It was hard rock. As I soon found out, the guy he was imitating was Eddie Van Halen. So I had to get me some Van Halen recordings. Now, Van Halen had been out for about 4 or 5 years at this point, and I didn't even really know who they were because of that bubble. What about you? Did you grow up when Eddie was the biggest thing? Did you play like him as well, or try to? I'd love to know. If it wasn't Eddie who was your first big guitar hero, let me know in the comments. Eddie became my next guitar hero, for sure. I dived in super hard. Any lesson I could get my hands on in a guitar magazine, because there wasn't YouTube. I even learned his Eruption solo note for note. But to be honest, I think I got the most out of just playing along to the Van Halen records. Yeah, vinyl records. I'd play through each song until that side ran out, flip it over, and play through the next side. I learned a few phrases or licks, but I didn't really worry about learning anything note for note. What got me was his feel and his contagious energy. And Eddie improvised too. Seemingly it came from a place of reckless abandon. It was exciting to listen to. Kind of like my favorite jazz musicians, actually. On an intuitive level, I knew I just wanted to catch his vibe rather than be a copycat. There was so many of those guys around in the day. Because Eddie was always preaching to do your own thing, find your own sound. Since I was a devotee, I listened. It was my nature to want to be unique anyway. That was just the way I was. To this day, I've always wanted to be unique, which is probably why I've been fired a few times from bands, because I never wanted to play the solo that was on the recording. I wanted to make up my own. In a Guitar Magazine article, Eddie was talking about this other guitar player that was totally off my radar, Alan Holdsworth. And if Eddie said this guy was amazing, then, I had to check him out. When you're young and impressionable. But remember, Eddie was the man. I think there's still a bit of both Alan and Eddie's influence in my playing, especially on my song Night Drive. I'll leave a link for you below to listen to that song so you know what I mean. My mother ordered some Alan Holdsworth cassette tapes to surprise me. They were imports from Japan, I think, and she had to make a special order for them. They were really expensive too. I mean, I think they were like $29 each or something crazy. And in 1984 or 5, that's a lot of money. I'll never forget the beauty in that gesture that she did for me as long as I'll live. As I listened to these tapes, my jaw literally hit the floor. I didn't know music could be so fiery, intricate, advanced, and beautiful all at the same time. I couldn't really fathom what I was hearing, but I liked what I heard. A switch flipped in me. I got really serious. I had to be a really good guitarist. I had to be a great guitarist. Let me know in the comments if you experienced a big aha moment like that. Was there someone or something that inspired you, whether it was music or not? I wanted to be really good. However, I knew I needed help. I went to college specifically to learn jazz. Many great teachers and students, it really helped me out. I learned a lot, and that's where I got hooked on jazz. And you improvise in jazz, and I was always improvising anyway. Kind of like ignorance is bliss. I thought everybody improvised. I had no idea people composed solos. I thought I had to make things up all the time. I just needed to learn how to talk in jazz. I knew that once I learned the language, I would be able to have a music conversation without words. I practiced and I practiced. Even though it slowed down, I haven't really stopped. I try to leave myself open to learn something new every day. Eddie was the initial spark, but it was my mother who, out of a really thoughtful gesture, brought these 2 cassettes home and set me on the path to really take music seriously, and I love her dearly for that. Even though my videos have vastly improved since I started on YouTube a few years ago, here's a fun video I did around when I first started about my origin story and how, along the way, I discover a Canadian guitarist who was a major influence on me, but I didn't realize it until years later.